So let's explore our equivalent fractions a little bit more. So here's a strip of paper and I'm going to cut it into two equal pieces. Okay, so let's split it into our two equal pieces here. Okay, I'm now going to have a look at the same piece of paper, but this time around I'm going to cut it into four equal pieces. Okay, so I'm going to cut it. Okay, pause the video a second. What do you notice with my two strips of paper? Okay, so here I cut them into two halves, and then the same piece of paper I cut into quarters, so I cut it 4 times. And what we've noticed is that 1/2 is exactly the same had I cut those 2 quarters and stuck them back together again. So I stuck those 2 quarters together, I'd have a half of that strip again. So that tells me that 1/2 is equivalent, so the same as 2 quarters. Okay? So I need to think, well, how do I get from the numerator to the denominator? So here, 1 to 2, I times it by 2. 1 times 2 is 2. Here, I think, well, how do I get from 2 to 4? Well, again, I must multiply that by 2. Now, if I'm going to do it the opposite way, how do I get from 4 to 2? I've got to divide because the number's getting smaller. Same for this side. I'm going to divide that by 2 as well. So let's explore that in a way that you understand. So here I've split my number line into quarters. But I'm going to be looking at eighths. So I'm going to split my boxes into 8 equal parts. Okay, let's see what we can find out from this number line. So here I can see that 1/4, okay, is the same as 1/2. So 2 parts out of 8 altogether. So 1/4 is the same as 2/8. Okay, so 2/8, if I've gone 1, 2, 3, 4, I've split my eighths into 4 equal parts, and there's 2 to each one of those parts. So 2/8 is equivalent to 1/4. Let's see what else is equivalent to a quarter. Okay, so now I'm going to be looking at 20s. Okay, so I've split this into 20 equal parts. Again, let's explore what equivalent of a quarter of a 20 is. Well, I can see that 1/4 is 5 equal boxes. And that would be right, because if I'm looking at quarters, so 4 parts, and I'm looking at 20 and I know one of them's 5, if I did 4 times 5, 5, 10, 15, 20, that gives me 20. And I know that each one of those quarters, that each one of those 4 parts is 5. So here I can see that 5/20 is also equivalent to 1/4. Now here I'm going to be looking at 3/12. So here I need to split my boxes into 12 equal parts. Now I'm looking at 3, so I'm going to shade in 3 of them. And here you can also see that 3 parts is equal to a quarter. Okay, if I multiplied that by 4, okay, so multiply it by 4 quarters, I have 3, 6, 9, 12. I have 3 lots of my 4 quarters that will tally up to equal 12. So here I can see that 1/4 is equivalent to 2/8, okay, because if I multiply 2 by 4, that would give me 8. Here 5/20 is the same, so if I multiply 5 by 4, that would give me 20. And here I can see 3 is equivalent because 3 multiplied by 4 would give me 12. So if I have 4 equal parts of all of my numerators, it would give me a whole. Therefore, they are all equivalent, so the same as 1/4. So pause the video and have a think. How might I now work out what those missing boxes are? Do you think you might know what the missing numbers are? Pause the video and have a think. Okay, well, I'm going to fill out the numbers here because I think this one's 2/8, this one's 3/12, and I think this one's 5/20. And here I think, well, this is 4/16. Now I can shorten that one down and I can actually simplify that. So if I look at 4/16, I think, do you know what? That could be the same as 10/40. Now you may be thinking, Miss Humphrey, how on earth did you do that? How did you know what those numbers were? So let's have a look, okay? So I've said here that 1/4, okay, is the same, okay, as 2/8. And I need to work out, well, how did I get from a quarter to 2/8? So here I multiplied this number 1 by 4. So we're multiplying it by 4. So now I need to think, this time round here, I then divided it. So I need to think, well, how did I get from 4 to 8? And I know I multiplied it by 2. So whatever I do to the denominator, I do to the numerator. So to get from 4 to 8, I multiplied it by 2. Now, I then need to think, well, if I started with a quarter, how did I then get to 3/12? So now I need to think, well, how did I get from 4 to 12? Well, let's count. 4, 8, 12. Well, I multiplied that one by 3. Now, whatever I do to the denominator, I do to the numerator. Good. So if I multiplied the denominator by 3, I multiply the numerator by 3. So 1 times 3 is 3. Well, now you must be thinking, well, how did I then get from a quarter to 5/20? So again, How do I get from 4 to 20? Well, let's count. 4, 8, 12, 16, 20. Oh, well, I must have multiplied it 5 times. And I know whatever I do to the denominator, I do to the numerator. So I multiplied this by 5. So 4 times 5 was 20. Therefore, 1 times 5 was 5. Now I then need to think, well, how did I get from 1/4 to 10 over 40? So how did I get from 4 to 40? Well, obviously I multiplied it by 10. Therefore, I must have multiplied the numerator by 10 as well. Okay? So it's always important to think, look at your denominators. How did I get from one denominator to the other? Think about what I multiplied it by, and then do the same to the numerator. So let's have a look at this one then. So I've got 3/4. Well, now I don't have my denominator, but does that matter? No, it doesn't, because I still have my numerator. So I can think, well, how did I get from 3 to 12? Well, let's think, how many 3's are in 12? 4, so I multiplied by 4. Therefore, I do exactly the same thing here to my denominator. So what is 4 times 4? Easy, 16. Okay, so 3/4 is equivalent to the same as 12 over 16. So if we showed you this as an example here, I've got my 3/4, okay? I also have my 3/4 down here, but I'm going to split these into my equal parts for my 16ths. And here you can see I've got 4, 8, 12. So 12/16 is equivalent to the same as 1, 2, 3. The same as 3/4. So pause the video, see if you can have a go. What are my missing numbers? Okay, so 4, this one here, to get from 4 to 12, we're going to multiply by 3. Therefore, 3 times 3 is going to give us 9. Well done. Here, I don't have my numerator and I have my answer, but I still have these two numbers here. My denominators, I can see the difference. So what do I need to multiply to get from 5 to 15? Okay, I'm going to multiply by 3. Now, because we're going backwards, okay, we've got to make our number smaller. So we have to do the inverse. We know that we would have multiplied by 3, so we now need to do the inverse. So we're actually going to divide it by 3. So 15 divided by 3 gave me 5, so 9 divided by 3 will have given me 3. Therefore, 3/5 is equal to, or the same as, equivalent to 9/15. So what I'd like you to do now is have a go at doing questions 1 to 4 on your worksheet for me, please. And then we're going to come back and look at some problem solving questions and then see how much time you've got to have a go at the worksheets. Okay, so pause the video and have a go. So Tiny here says, I added 6 to both of the numerator and the denominator. Pause the video and have a think. What mistake has Tiny made? Okay, well then let's explore. So here I'm going to split it into my equal 3 parts. This is going to be my 2/3. And I can see I've shaded in 2 out of the 3. Now, if I had that as the same, so we know it's going to be the same as 2/3, and I now split this into my 9s, it's got 3, 6, 9. It says here that Tiny's actually got the answer as 8. So if I went from 3 to 9, I know I've multiplied by 3, which means whenever I do to the denominator, good, I do to the numerator. Now I'm looking at 2 times 3. 2 times 3 isn't 8. What is 2 times 3? 2 times 3 is 6. I can see here I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So my answer should be 6/9. Okay, so well done if you spotted that mistake. Now here's a challenge for you. How am I going to work out this one? Pause the video and have a think. Okay, well I could think, well, how do I get from 12 to 14? But I might not know that off the top of my head. But what I do know is I know the link between 5 and 15 because I know they're both multiples of 5. So let's start there. Now, going back to what I said earlier, we're going from a bigger number to a smaller number. So what operation do we use when we go from a bigger number to a smaller number? Good, we divide. So let's do that then. So what is 15 divided by 3? Okay, because we know it's in the 5 times table. Okay, so we know that 15 divided by 3 gives us 5. Therefore, we need to do the same to the numerator. So 12 divided by 3 is going to give us 4. So now that we have 4/5, well, we can work out, well, how do I go backwards? So how do I now get a bigger number? So we know to get from 4 to 40 is multiplied by 10. So whatever we then do to the numerator now, we now must do to the denominator. So all we need to do is 5 multiplied by 10. And what is 5 multiplied by 10? 50. Okay, so just using that knowledge of your number facts and your multiple facts and you knowing your times tables, you can work out different parts to find those missing numbers. Okay, so if you have time, Okay, what I'd like to do is see if you can have a go at completing the rest of the worksheet. Do not worry if you haven't finished it though, because we've already done one of the worksheets from the previous lesson. So if you've only managed to do the first couple of questions, that's fine, not a problem. As long as you've had a go at some of them, okay, and then make sure that you send it in to me if you're at home for me to have a look at. And for those of you in school, I'll be able to have a nosy at your lesson whilst I'm in work this week, okay? So see how you get on, okay? Good luck to you all, Year 5.